even though I'm no longer a member of the Uhuru movement, I have great respect for them, and I strongly encourage people in our communities. You know, people always we love to talk, but nobody's really doing anything from an action perspective. What I see, and I see the Uhuru movement is doing a lot of good concrete work in the community here, as we did in Oakland when I joined up with them there. Uh, and so I'm more of a proponent of that, not to discredit the other organizations. I just, came up through the revolutionary ranks. I guess, yeah, I guess I was exposed to that too as well when I was in the Marine Corps. That's when I went into, after I got out of high school, I went into the Marine Corps. And had my problem there politically, but I understood how they got things done. And so I guess I continued that on into my civilian life, is what we refer to it as, from the military life to civilian life. And so the Who movement, I think, is more appealing to me because of the revolutionary nature of it, and how the Black community shies away from the revolutionary aspect, and we gravitate more towards, I guess, this nonviolent venue. And to me, that's never really gotten us anywhere. I couldn't be nonviolent. I couldn't stand around and somebody beat me over the head and I talk about I love them. I think somebody beat me over the head. The way I tell them I love them is beat them back over their head. So don't laugh too hard.
So, Mr. Crowley, what would you say is monumental? I wouldn't say monumental. What advice would you give the Black community right now where we politically are? Because we're not in an impasse, because we do have things we can do politically. But regarding the Republican and Democratic Party, I know that a lot of Black people that were Democrats and had placed a lot of stock in that are changing their mind about. They're not changing their mind. I think that they're starting to really recognize how they've been used by the Democratic Party and then how it's gotten them absolutely nowhere.
Well, I think one mindset that we need to definitely grasp is this. The faults in our community are created by us, okay? There's no external power, racism, all that. I can't stand the word racism. I mean, if you want to understand racism, look at African history and look at how we practiced it up on the white race for thousands of years. So the problem that our community, just like other communities, the Jewish community, the white community, etc., we created our own problems. Okay, we have, but we constantly are blaming external sources or forces instead of looking within. The problem that we have are internal. Okay, yes, there are external interventions and external problems, contradictions, but the overall thing is, how do we respond to it? So for instance, when we say they, okay, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have been crippling to our community, and probably to the white community and other communities as well. All they do is just flip, what you would say, switch positions every so many years. The Republican Party that freed the slaves was what the liberal so-called radicals of today, which is the Democratic Party. But at that time, the Democratic Party were the conservatives. And so people think the Civil War was fought over freeing the slaves. That had nothing to do with it. It was the Democrats in the South that had the right, according to the Constitution, to secede from the Union. And this radical Lincoln tried to prevent that and tried to create this dynamic that he was helping the slaves. That didn't even come until the Emancipation Proclamation. He said at the very, very beginning, Lincoln, I guess a little historical information here. Lincoln said at the beginning that he had no interest in the slavery question in the states. He just wanted to keep the Union together. But if you look at the Anti-Federalists in the Constitution, the Anti-Federalists fought for states' rights. But who won? The Federalists won. The Federalists won because they wanted this strong central government, which led to a strong central banking, centralized power, and I guess you say lessen the states' rights or lessen the power of the states. But the Anti-Federalists wanted the states' rights through the Articles of Confederation, which preceded the Constitution. It had in there the states' rights. Now I'm just kind of glossing over this. please read it for yourself, okay? And then you come to your own conclusion. I'm not trying to tell people what to think or anything. I'm just telling you, I've read this and studied this, and this is the conclusion that I came up with. So the bottom line is, with this whole Republican, Democratic narrative, I think that what people, black people specifically, should maybe take a look at the African People's Social Party. That's a party that probably works in the interest of us. That's radical, of course, and you may disagree with a lot of elements, but I'm sure you disagree with the elements of the Democratic and Republican platforms too. But the Democratic and Republican Party, I don't see any advantage for black people at all in either of those parties. I think that we should go with the one that probably is more conservative, if anything, and not deal with these radical leftists, because the radical leftists, these white radical leftists, are in it for themselves. They just use black people. We allow them to use us as their puppets to get their programs across. But I mean, it's real interesting that how we pander to white people's problems when we have our own problems, and we don't deal with them at all. We just let them set the narrative, like the race question. Okay, racism. Okay, white people don't like us. We don't like white people, and we don't have the power right now, so they have the power to exercise their so-called racism. So we need to develop or develop a system where we have some power to defend ourselves from their supposed racist attacks. And then we won't have to sit up and worry about that. But we sitting there worrying about things that, waiting for them to do for us what we need to be doing for ourselves. So that's a general analogy.